So today I want to talk about why did Dr. John McDougall die? I mean, yeah, he's a man and he was 77 years old, but I thought he would live to at least 100. You know, he's on a low-fat, plant-based vegan diet, so that's supposedly the healthiest diet there is, right? So was there something wrong with his diet, or was it something else? Now, I know he was getting thinner and thinner, and that can just be a sign that you are, not eating enough, or maybe you're exercising more, burning more calories, but it could be a sign of disease. And so he did start eating more nuts, and that was one of the things that he would advise against, is eating a limited amount of nuts, and only eating nuts if you could control your portion sizes. So if you're like me and it's really hard to just, not eat the whole bag of cashews, then cashews is something that I really shouldn't be eating, or any type of nuts. So if you can't control it, he says, avoid it. He says if you're overweight, avoid the high-fat foods. So, do we have the right to know why he died? Well, he was a public figure and very, very famous. I mean, the Starch Solution book was like a #1 seller, millions of copies sold, and his videos racked up thousands of views, very popular. So I do think the public should, when the family is ready and when they know the answer, let everyone know what was the cause of Dr. McDougall's death. There was another doctor, very famous, you all are probably familiar with him, the opposite diet, Dr. Robert Atkins. So he was a cardiologist, and he had his own diet plan. And his was, Dr. McDougall's was a low-fat vegan diet, and Dr. Robert Atkins was a low-carbohydrate diet. And so obviously you're not eating very many carbs, and it definitely was not vegan. It was high animal protein. Hey, kitty. So, but he actually died from a heart attack. His widow revealed it, and I'm sure the publishers didn't want that to get out. You will see something saying he slipped on the ice, but the fact is he did die from a heart attack. So how about Dr. McDougall? I really doubt he died from a heart attack, because his diet was proven to lower the fat in the blood vessels and the arteries, and people's cholesterol levels lowered, whereas Dr. Atkins' diet, everyone actually felt sicker, they had bad breath, they would have they would have brain fog, they wouldn't feel good, so they'd be constipated. So yeah, so that's kind of interesting. And so I would really definitely like to know why he died. So, Dr. McDougall, he didn't eat a healthy diet. I mean, he had a stroke at 18 because he ate such a horrible diet. He ate hot dogs and fast food, and didn't eat very many fruits and vegetables, and he smoked cigarettes. He drank a lot of alcohol. So when you have that type of history, it's like, well, it's actually surprising he's lived this long, even though he cleaned up his act. And as we get older, it's harder for our bodies to get rid of debris. It's just cellular aging. So even though we eat healthy now, does not eradicate all the problematic issues from our past. I saw comments in social media. I was curious as to what people have been saying, and there's a lot of garbage out there. There's some truth, and then there's a lot of fiction, and it's hard for people to know, well, what's true and what's not. And that's the purpose of this video. And so I did some searching, looking around, and kind of made me mad. So on Wikipedia, it had a lot of problematic information on it. For instance, it was talking about Dr. McDougall's diet, and they said his low-fat diet is very restrictive and may lead to flatulence. Really? So, is there any diet that doesn't, I mean, where you don't fart? I mean, so I used to go to the gym all the time, and the gym, the bodybuilders, they're on these high protein, they're on these low carb diets, and when you would go by the areas by the mirrors where the heavy weights were, it was like, oh, gross. Protein fart city. Okay, these are people who are eating high animal fat, high animal protein diets. And they were farting up a storm. So don't tell me that a diet with healthy vegetables is the only one that's going to lead to flatulence. Silly, silly. It also said something else that's ridiculous. Possible more poor mineral absorption from excess fiber. Okay, so do we want to be constipated with a bunch of animal protein? No. Fiber is actually an essential nutrient. You eat fiber, you can go to the bathroom. You're not going to get bloating and disgusting, super disgusting protein fart. So that doesn't even make any sense. This is garbage. Okay, then it also says on Wikipedia that this diet leads to limited food choices that may lead to a feeling of deprivation. Okay, so I did have for over a decade, even longer, I was doing my high protein, trying to keep my carbs as low as possible. I found that really restrictive. I mean, plain chicken and plain, I would season it with some, salt and pepper and herbs and spices, and plain fish with my little bit of rice and my asparagus, and I hated it. It was so boring. I love the starch solution. I love potatoes. Any type of potato you want, stuffed potatoes with black beans and corn. I mean, they've got so many awesome recipes in there. They've got a tamale recipe, and then it also says on Wikipedia, the problem with this diet is you may have low omega-3. Okay, another fallacy. So, what has omega-3s? Plants. Okay, you're thinking, oh, well, fish. Well, what do fish eat? Fish eat seaweed, so they're eating plants. So that's why when you eat fish, you'll get omega-3s, but you also get the toxic omega-6s, and you get the chemicals and the saturated fat and the trans fat. So, and then whatever else disgusting things that are in the ocean, in addition to high amounts of what is that called? Anyways, all sorts of toxic metals that are in the ocean. All right, what else did it say that was ridiculous? It says you may not get enough vitamin D on this diet. Okay, well, vitamin D you get it from the sun. So, but we get it in mushrooms, and you test anybody, and pretty much everybody has low vitamin D. So we need to go in the sun or take a supplement. So it has nothing to do with this diet. And it also says that this diet may lead to low calcium, iron, and zinc. Well, guess what? All those are in plants. And as long as you're not eating like a bunch of sugar and, only rice, you're gonna get all your essential nutrients. As long as you take your B12, your vitamin D, you should be good. Eat a variety. You want a lot of zinc, eat your beans. So anyways, there is information out there that's just not factual. So I have contacted the Dr. McDougall team to let them know about the misinformation that's on Wikipedia, because I think they should be the ones that should correct it. So if you are interested in contacting Wikipedia, I would love that. That would be awesome, because it's so frustrating when there's such a good person out there, and he saved so many lives and helped so many people reverse their diseases, and to be bashed because someone else doesn't want to change their diet because they want to keep eating their steak. That's just absolutely wrong. So there's also a couple other things I wanted to talk about. So a lot of people don't really even understand what the starch solution was, what this diet was. They have information that's not quite incorrect. So his diet was that he promoted was 90% from starch. And so what are starches? Okay, so they're whole grains. So pasta, as long as it's a whole grain pasta. Bread, just choose a whole grain bread. Corn, rice, quinoa. These are the foods that people have been eating for generations that have led to longevity. Think about the Japanese. What did they subsist on? Rice, lots and lots of rice. It wasn't until their diet became Americanized with the high animal fat, the fried food, the French fries, the milkshakes, that people started getting disease, heart disease, diabetes, gaining weight. So also a starch is beans, legumes, peas, soy, lentils. So he didn't want people to go overboard with those. The explanation was a little bit vague. It seemed like he might have been worried about people gaining too much weight. So he wanted to keep people at a healthy weight. So he was big on the starches because they're very low in fat and they fill you up. So vegetables, potatoes, squash, less of an emphasis on greens, and he was worried that people would get too full on leafy green vegetables. He said eat them, but don't start with a big salad because you're going to get too skinny. And people have a problem of being too thin. They're worried about being too thin, which is kind of silly because most people are too fat. So being thin is not a disease. Being thin doesn't mean you're sick. Being thin actually is healthy. It's actually to be underweight is much healthier than being overweight. So there's that. He also said to limit nuts, seeds, and avocado because they're high in fat, and he was worried that if people ate too much fat, they would get fat. He is right about to a certain extent. If you eat fat, you get fat. But that's not true when it comes to certain fats, like avocado and flax and chia. But the others, yeah, he's right. I remember when I was eating my meat-based diet and when I added nuts, when I was having like walnuts or almonds, I would always gain a couple pounds. And when I stopped eating those nuts, I would lose a couple pounds. So now I eat avocados all the time, no problem. I don't gain weight from them. I also don't have a problem with flax and chia seeds. I can eat a ton and my weight will actually drop. So a lot of people make theories and statements saying that it's factual, but it's just what they believe to be factual. So it's good to question what other people say, even though they have a lot of information that's correct. Some of that information may be incorrect and it may be based on published studies. So there may not be studies out yet to prove them wrong. So they're just going by existing studies. So there's that. He said fruit, fine, but he said don't go overboard. Again, he was worried about people gaining weight. But if you look at fruitarians, people who either eat the majority of their calories from fruit or just eat a lot of fruit salads, they're like the skinniest people pretty much. They're really thin and they can eat a ton of calories, sometimes thousands of calories, and be very, very skinny. Actually, even anorexic to the point of being, yeah, too thin. He also said mushrooms are fine. He said salt is fine. He said if adding salt to your food will get you to eat it, then yeah, because what's worse? If you're eating chicken, which has been injected with salt before you even add your own salt when you get home, or just meat or anything else, you're just gonna add salt to it anyways, and that's just full of cholesterol, saturated fat, and hormones, and antibiotics, and trans fat. That's the problematic food. A little bit of salt on your food, which is an essential nutrient, big deal. And actually, everyone should have a little bit of salt. And he said sugar. he, of course, said sugar is inflammatory, and people misunderstand this all the time. When he says, hey, go ahead and put some sugar on your food, what he's saying is, if you need to put sugar on your healthy meal to eat it, like soup or oatmeal, then add it. A little bit, he said, is fine, because a little bit of sugar on your oatmeal is way better than some scrambled eggs and bacon, which is going to shoot your cholesterol level way up and increase your heart disease and slow your blood flow down and increase your risk of having a heart attack and stroke right then and there. So he had some really good ideas, and he was flexible in that respect. And so that was what I thought was really important about Dr. John McDougall. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully the family, McDougall family, will eventually let us know what caused Dr. McDougall's death. There's a couple things that I do think would have made the starch solution healthier and better for everybody. I do think it is a fantastic diet plan, especially for people who love their meat-based diet, who are very picky, who are very resistant to change, which is the majority of people. And I think this is definitely a wonderful way to start, because there's so many good recipes in here. I mean, we've got barbecue tofu wraps, we've got lentil stew, and oh my god, you gotta try this mushroom stroganoff. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, and he has noodles and bread. He's got pudding in here, and it's the meals are pretty tasty. They're really good. So I think this is a great option for somebody who loves bread and pasta. Will it help everybody reverse their disease? No. So there's a couple things that I think that would make this diet a lot better. One is that he does not make salads a priority, and cruciferous salads are really important, not just because the fiber, I believe it was the Mayo Clinic that showed that cruciferous vegetables, they have sulforaphane, that in the lab, I think it's a petri dish, it killed cancer cells. And if you look up Dr. Britt Goldner, she has people reversing their disease on a vegan diet with lots of cruciferous vegetables, and a lot of plant-based doctors recommend 1 pound of raw cruciferous vegetables every single day. So that's one thing that I think he was missing from his plan, is a salad every single day. The second thing that I didn't see in his book at all, and I don't remember him ever even recommending it, is flax and chia seeds. It's a really high in omega-3. So if people are worried about their omega-3 level, which is a valid worry, that affects brain health, instead of having toxic fish oil, it's got its own problems, super disgusting, and they're all contaminated and probably putrid, and have unhealthy oils, and anyways, but bad for the oceans and the fish. But yeah, so flax and chia is high in omega-3s, and they don't make you fat. They actually speed up your metabolism and help the body repair. So that's the second thing I think that he's missing. And the third thing is the avocado. So he says to limit avocados, don't have any at all. Well, I did my own test. So Dr. Britt Goldner, she said that avocados don't make you fat. They're healthy fat, and they're great for diabetics. We don't want our blood sugars to go too high, and there's nothing wrong with fruit and vegetables, but sometimes we don't want to go overboard with our carbohydrates, because if you're insulin dependent diabetic like me, because I'm type 1, we sometimes don't want to just dose ourselves up with so much insulin so we can enjoy some healthy fats. So avocado is one healthy fat, and so what I did is I had a blood test before eating avocado, so I was limiting it to like 2 tablespoons a week. So I had my blood cholesterol test before, and then I was eating an avocado a day, and then I had my blood test taken about 5 months later, and then another one a couple months after that, and my cholesterol dropped. It was like 2 points, so it didn't make it go up. So that's the only things that I think could have been made the diet better, and that's it. So anyways, I think it's a great program, and I think it was really awful for people to disparage this wonderful doctor. He's not a perfect person. He was a little grumpy, but he meant well, and he saved a lot of lives. So anyways, spread the good word. Let's keep promoting his healthy diet, and let me know if you have any questions.